Um, Just sign in and put card.
Good. Welcome to the April 19th, 2023 meeting of the Lyman Planning Board. This meeting will come to order. This is a public proceeding, and unless the board specifically votes to go into executive session, you have the right to hear everything that is being said and look at all the exhibits that are offered. If the board votes to go into executive session, the reason for the same shall be stated. Please notify the board chair if you're having difficulty seeing or hearing. This meeting is being recorded for YouTube. In each instance, the burden is upon the applicant to demonstrate compliance with the provisions of the applicable ordinance or ordinances. After the board votes on the merits of each project, it will prepare a written opinion, which will be forwarded within 7 days. The board works for a prepared agenda. We'll be considering tonight's items in the following order. Wayne Osterman, 9397 West Shore Road, map 21, lot 1617. Demo and rebuild, best practical location. 2, Cripple Creek Storage, Walter Smith, 2236 Alfred Road, map 3, lot 26, renewal of expired permit to erect a storage building. 3, MX 207, plans to address concerns and conditions listed on the 4/5/23 planning board meeting. In Brookview Estates, 4, Brookview Estates, Brock Road Cluster Subdivision, tax map 1, lot 12-1, 10 residential lots. Minutes, old business and mail. Okay, Mr. Osterman?
Can we do a roll call,
Oh,
please?
sure.
Joe Wagner, 26 Day Road.
Don Hernan, 33 Murphy's Way.
Rod T2, 357 Walker Road.
Cecile Dupuy, 53 Chapel Shores Road.
Paul Boucher, 88 Old Pump Road.
William Single, 8 Single Lane.
Right, is Mr.
We are missing some information for number one,
Okay,
and Brenda reached out and we haven't heard back to get
Oh.
the additional information that we needed for that person to be here.
okay,
And we just found this out this afternoon, so we will reach out and potentially have him next time.
okay. And Walter Smith here.
He couldn't make it. This is another one of those that
Yep.
came up that they called for,
An extension.
well, he actually called for a septic inspection, and I saw that everything in the folder was expired. So he did submit a letter to explain to you. I think it's in your packet. I think
Yep.
It is.
To explain, and he's another victim of.
COVID.
You guys want me to read the letter out loud? or-
Sure.
Yes.
To whom it may concern, my name is Walter Smith, and I am the president of Cripple Creek Corporation, which owns a storage facility on Route 111 in Lyman. The planning board approved our plan for these storage buildings, and we commenced construction shortly thereafter. Unfortunately for us, COVID arrived and interrupted our building process and schedule. Our third building, which is now on site but not erected, was delayed for quite a while. The delay in part was caused by the inability to obtain the doors due to a lack of available material and labor resulting from the COVID epidemic, as I understand it. I am asking the planning board to please extend the time for completion of this project pursuant to the site plan review. Thank you for your consideration in this matter. Sincerely, Walter Smith.
Do you have any comments, Brenda, on this?
I think from what I've seen, I would encourage you to maybe a year.
Mhm.
I think that would give them plenty of time to finish things up.
He's got part of it done, I think 2/3.
Yes, they do. They have a lot done and they
Yeah.
finished up the grading on it, out front.
Still waiting.
Yeah.
for- yeah.
materials. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we grant Mr. Smith's
Extension.
extension for 1 year.
Second?
Is there any more discussion on it? All in favor of granting extension for a year?
Aye.
So that will run until April 19th of 2024.
Should that be noted somewhere in the record?
Yeah, should we send them, we should send him a letter with the date and say, blah, 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 pursuant to your request. and then maybe attach, or do we want to show that he submitted a written request.
And, I don't think that needs to be re-recorded or anything, right? I mean, we recorded the,
It was
decision.
recorded.
Right, the notice of
Once.
decision.
I don't, yeah,
Okay,
That's not-
thank you.
MX 207,
I think you kind of charged me with going back and looking through the paperwork to figure out what we need for an application.
oh, yeah.
I would like to request that we set a sidewalk because I think I think the board should be brought up to speed of what the operation is currently doing.
Yep.
And then maybe we can work from there.
okay,
I think given that, to update the application that you had before, it doesn't probably line up with the application that you're gonna need now.
okay.
So I'd like to see a sidewalk. What I'm requesting is that maybe you could do it on a Wednesday evening, now that we can, only because I would like the fire chief to be there and the electrical inspector to be there. I think they both can kind of give you insight.
Okay,
Is there anybody here from MX 207?
No, they're not, he's not back in the state yet. But I would like plenty of time to be able to coordinate that with them, and of course, we'll have to make notification and everything. So I think maybe, I don't know if you'd like to do it on the off Wednesday or do it,
it'd be easier on the off Wednesday,
okay,
so I don't get back to town till 5 o'clock.
okay. So that gives you plenty of time.
Yep.
Yeah,
Do you want to, let's see, what is it?
I did reach out to Bill and Dan to ask for a copy of their insurance waiver that they have for their business, because we think that's important to have in their file.
Mhm.
Yes,
And I'm still waiting for the insurance company to send it to me.
and,
Do you want to do it on the, well, we have to assume, that we have to make sure, of course, that they're available.
well, let's set it up and see if they absolutely can. I think there's enough people involved in the operation to maybe get us through there. I think it's easier for them to fit to us than just fit to them.
Well, today's the, what, the 19th?
Yep.
We did it for 3 weeks from today would be that'd be the 10th of May. That'd be the week between, if you want to do it on between week.
yep,
I think the
That'd be between the next meeting's the 3rd, and then we have one on the 17th. We could do it maybe on the 10th.
On the 10th.
A week from today would be too soon.
I think so.
yeah.
What about, we got this deputy fire chief, does he have any issues?
No, looks like she's be available.
Is that okay, Dave?
Time you want to plan
Pending
on
any
it, 6
fires.
o'clock, 5:30?
That's whatever's convenient for you.
Whatever you
You
want,
guys
Rob,
at
what time
work.
do you?
I can be there by 5:30, I mean,
What
Fine,
date,
let's go
what
with that.
date we talking?
Okay,
The 10th of May,
Does that work for you, Bill?
5:10?
5:30?
I think that's a winner.
that'll be on Wednesday, May the 10th at 5:30.
All
Write that down again.
Now, the board did ask me to check with our attorney, find out if you had the authority to extend that, what was it, was conditional use at the time?
Yep.
Right.
And he said, it's not, you don't have the authority, you do have, it's more, it would be me putting a stop work order on it. And as long as I don't put a stop work order on it, they can operate. So I would just ask that you direct me to withhold putting a stop work order until a particular date or something, just so that it's in the records.
In your research, did you find a notice of decision dated from March 2021? Because I believe that the board voted to change that from conditional use to,
There is a copy from the minutes with the pink highlight.
We didn't find a notice of decision, but we did find that we discussed it. You were right.
I can probably find it for you because I might be
I didn't find a notice of decision, but I did find the meeting minutes where you discussed it. And
Right,
everybody's got a copy of that.
okay.
Yeah.
I can find that, I think I might be able to find that for you, but that bothers me that it's not, that notice of decision is not in the
Wasn't in the
binder.
folder. It, even if there was a notice of decision going forward, even if we can find that and we can vote on that, I feel like there's been enough changes, so we need to revisit the,
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's fine.
Brenda, do you need a vote on part of the board to authorize you not to issue a stop order?
I think maybe there should be some kind of a statement that you're comfortable with me not issuing a stop work order as long as they cooperate with the fire chief,
Mhm.
which he's put in, unless you have something you need to say. He told me this afternoon that they've been up there twice, I believe, and that,
Yeah, we were up there last weekend for an incident, but, and we have a meeting this Sunday with them to, work towards some of the things we talked about in the past. And the fire chief is in good faith, feeling like if we're moving forward, if we're meeting and we're working to comply and working towards progress, then let's keep racing.
You remember last meeting, we had like 3 conditions or something? I know you wrote them down.
So these were not sanctioned races, they were just practicing.
Oh, okay.
Multi-systems trauma.
But they should be able to move forward, like getting those fittings and making sure there's a path and all that other.
Yeah, so that's part of the meeting on Sunday.
Good. And so far, you're okay with their cooperation?
We're-
and I just, I would like maybe a directive from the board that we don't need to do stop work order as long as that communication is going forward with the fire chief. But I would like a date on it, so, I mean, I think you had talked about renewing it for a year, maybe 6 months to revisit it or something. By then, we should have had an application in place, and we should be moving forward very aggressively, I would accept.
Well, I think that you shouldn't put a stop work order on it as long as they're acting in good faith with the fire department and they're actively working to get the permit.
Maybe you could say.
Well, I'll make a motion that,
Mhm.
you don't put a stop work order on it. As long as they're actively working for the permit and cooperating with the fire department to get things straightened out.
I'll second that.
And
Any
that would
more
be good
discussion
for,
or anything
yes, and
else?
could you modify that, saying that would be good for what, 6 months?
6 months.
And that will be good for 6 months and we'll revisit it.
Sounds good.
I believe last meeting you said till October 31st.
Right, we're giving them a year, but we want to make sure that if they don't pursue their permit,
Discussion.
Good, shut down.
that we can shut it down before then.
So we have a motion, we have a seconded?
Who seconded?
Yep. that-
Is there any more discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
So that would run until 10/19 of this year.
Okay.
So Brookview Estates,
Okay.
yes.
That's 4.
Plans as well. We have that, if you think
What's that?
the floors out there.
Let's have what, Donna?
Now, we'll look at theirs.
We have an easel.
I love my computer. So we'll open this up. You can zoom in. Like, I mean, 55 inch.
We can vote, we can, right.
I got 2. I love it. Okay.
Rod, you open yours.
We're on the bill.
Good evening. My name is Kendra Ramsell, Spago Technics. I'm here representing Josh Nason. He's with Nason Property Services LLC, and he is the applicant. I know that you all just received your packets. We've submitted a preliminary subdivision application for a 10-lot subdivision off of Brock Road. This is zoned general purpose district. We've completed the net residential calculations for the project, and we were allowed 11 lots, but we are proposing 10, as you can see on the plans. So I can go.
This is the cluster subdivision?
It is a cluster lot subdivision, yes. I can go into further detail, but I think the purpose of this evening is to set a site walk.
Well, we gotta make sure you have a complete application first.
Okay.
Check this.
And 6-1, we got the 9 copies of the maps and drawings.
Yes.
That's in the back here. Get a location map, scale not more than 400 equals 1 inch. You got that? Okay. All existing subdivision, approximate track lines of acreage with adjacent parcels and owners' names. You have a list of all the abutters?
Yes. Yep.
You sure you got everything in there?
Yes, so we have gone through the checklist. The checklist is 9 pages long.
Right.
So we have gone through the checklist. We have made sure that everything is included within this very large packet. A pretty big portion of the packet that you're seeing is actually the state subdivision standards, which are ordinance references. So we went through, it's a lot of repeat information, to be completely honest, and falls in line pretty much with the regular sections of your ordinance. So that's why the packet is so thick. You're also seeing a big section on the stormwater management report. We're proposing a wet pond for treatment and detention of stormwater for the site. So section 6 of the application covers that. I should probably note that with the local application, we also have a main DEP application. It's a stormwater management law app. And that is because we have over 1 acre of impervious area for the project. So with that, we're required to meet the basic general and flooding standards through DEP, which fall in line with the town of Lyman's ordinance for stormwater treatment and detention, as well as erosion control. And we are meeting all 3 of those standards through DOT. So the goal is for us to go through the preliminary application with the board,
Yep.
while the application's also being reviewed concurrently with DEP. And our statutory deadline with DEP to get a decision from them, or an approval, hopefully, is June 30th. So moving through this, we're hoping to I know the application needs to be deemed complete. We're hoping to set a site visit or a site walk so that you can all see the property if you wish. I know we have to have a public hearing after that, and then a vote on the preliminary plan, or to approve the preliminary plan. Then we would move to the final plan.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that we could approve the final plan at a later date with the condition that the DEP permit has to be in hand before construction, or I'm sorry, prior to final plan approval.
Well, what's holding up the DEP?
They are extremely backed up. I think I got a note from the director in Southern Maine that they're running at about 40% capacity with employees right now. So they have extended all of their statutory deadlines by, usually it's a 90-day review. I think they're extended out to 120 right now, and further for bigger applications. So there's a major backlog. I would also like to note, we haven't been here for about 5 months. We had submitted a sketch plan to you all and went through that last time we were here. We were looking into some waivers at that time. And we have manipulated the subdivision plan so that there are no waivers being requested this time. We are meeting all of the min and max lot sizes, all of the minimum and maximum frontage requirements for each lot. And I'm trying to think of the third one we discussed. I think we talked about wetland impacts as well last time. And we decided to fill the 4,000 square foot wetland on lots 2, 3, and 4 of the plans. That required a NRPA permit by rule. So we have applied for that through DEP as well.
So when would you expect to get that?
That's a 2-week turnaround through DEP. So we should hear back very, very soon. By the time we get to final plan, we should have approval on that.
So what we're gonna do tonight is go through your preliminary plan,
Sure,
and then we'll set a site walk.
that'd be great.
Then after that, we'll start on a final plan and what we see on the site walk. And
Yeah, and the public hearing in between.
Yep.
Right.
Well-
Mr. Chair, just one quick question. By my notes, there's a pending FEMA letter of map revision. Was that concluded?
Yes, it was accepted.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
the floodplain has not been removed from the property, but it has been significantly reduced as we anticipated. The flood elevation and boundary on the currently adopted map was significantly larger than what's really out there. So
Is that part of your application?
No,
it is. We've included all the documentation for that. And the new floodplain boundary, as we delineated from our study on it, is shown on all of the plans. So you can see that the cluster subdivision is completely outside of that floodplain now,
Good.
which was a requirement of the cluster lot subdivision.
Thank you.
So no waivers. Can I ask for any waivers?
No waivers.
We'll remember that.
Yeah. I should also note, we're proposing almost 40 acres of open space. The existing topography of the site is very hilly. From Brock Road down to this, there's a stream that bisects the property. So from Brock Road down to the stream, there's a very large hill. Once you cross the stream, all of the open space is on that side of the stream. We're not touching anything on that side of the property. This is a 75-acre parcel. And then also, I would also note that we are creating a back lot that has frontage off of South Waterboro Road. This parcel is situated in between Brock Road and South Waterboro Road. So the portion of the property that has frontage on South Waterboro Road is considered a back lot, I believe, by the ordinance's definition. There's kind of the definition's a little bit vague. But essentially they don't have the proper amount of frontage on South Waterboro Road that's required. So it's considered a backlot that would be retained by the owner.
That's not part of the 10 acres, the 10 houses.
No.
No, correct. Yeah, it's not part of the subdivision at all. It's just land retained by the owner.
Separate.
But it's the same parcel of land?
No, it will be completely,
It's a separate parcel of land?
it's a separate parcel of land, yes, but not considered a lot within the subdivision. So I think
That's
by,
kinda confusing.
I don't want to say this if it's not correct, but I believe by state law, and I'll have to check with our surveyors, I can get a statement that he could not further divide that for 5 years by state law, and he does not plan to.
Well, I'm just kind of
Just so you
confused
know.
if it's the same piece of land. I don't see how it's not part of this subdivision.
I believe,
Maybe you're looking at that subdivision, open space, backlot.
But you haven't done that yet. You haven't split it off yet, have you?
no, we can't split anything legally until we go through the subdivision process with you all.
But that could be a condition or something. I
But
suppose.
wouldn't that make another lot in the subdivision, Joe? If it's all the same parcel? So instead of having 10 lots, it's splitting off another lot, which would make it 11.
Well, they could split that lot off right now, because they want to.
Yeah.
Would there be something that would stop that?
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Maybe
Brenda.
Brenda's got something.
I can't find it, I guess I tabbed it wrong, but I thought a back lot can't have any road frontage. not just not enough road frontage. If someone knows where to look.
Here we go.
No, the intent is not to develop that back lot, not present.
No. Oh, it's just land retained.
Does it have any road frontage on Water Road?
It does.
It does, yes. Yeah,
175?
yeah.
Okay.
I think, I'm sorry, I forget what the requirement is for a regular size lot, but I think the requirement is 200 or maybe 250 on South Waterboro Road, and it has 175.
The definition of a backlot on page 69 of the ordinance says backlot. A lot of land that is not bordered by a public road, that is not bordered by a public road or private way. A backlot must have access across a frontage lot by way of an easement. See section 6.3.3. So, I don't know.
Which I believe in that section is where it slightly contradicts
Maybe
itself.
that, yeah. I'm so shocked that it does that. But it says, yeah, 633 is, the subject of that one is, it's on page 20, is new backlots. That says, for instance, lots without frontage on a town or private road may be created, provided that lists a bunch of requirements, which I'm not going to, I don't think it's worth reading. But, so I don't know, I guess we have to figure that out.
I have a question. On this back lot, you've got more of that 75 acres left out there, correct?
Yes,
So if that back lot was part of the balance of the property, it really wouldn't be a back lot. Do you follow what I'm saying?
I do understand what
So
you're
when
saying.
when you do the deed division, that parcel became the balance of with the balance of the property. That's one big parcel.
But because it's a non-conforming, how I interpreted the ordinance was that it's a non-conforming lot, which,
Yeah, but you wouldn't be making it a lot. It would be part of the rest of the parcel.
the remainder of the,
So you're using 40 acres basically for the development?
it's so, I'm sorry, I don't have my plan in front of me.
Well, if there's 10 lots, it's gonna have to be at least 50 acres.
Right, so the back lot is 24 roughly, and 40 is open space, so that's 64, and it's 75. So
Okay.
roughly 9 acres.
So the rest of it has the houses.
Yes. Right, so there is no rest of the lot once,
So you're
once the
using the
land
whole
is subdivided.
75 acres?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And on a different situation, I had to call the town attorney to find out if a back lot can have any road frontage, and he said it cannot.
Okay.
But I think in this instance, I think the definition would definitely take precedence. I really do.
Okay, that's a pretty easy fix. I mean, we can just include the portion that has frontage on South Waterboro Road within the open space. And then the back lot would have no frontage. But then you're creating, the reason that might not be beneficial to anyone, not just Josh, but is because if you do that, you then cannot create a right of way from South Waterboro Road. So there is potential for someone, if he wanted to sell this land and someone wanted to develop that land, they then have no option to, and if that's the town's goal is to never have that land be developed, then that's fine. But they then have no option to then create a right of way off of South Waterboro Road to serve that parcel.
Is the only thing stopping that lot from being a viable lot that doesn't have enough frontage?
That's
There's
correct.
no way to get frontage or buy frontage or?
There is a way to get frontage. It is to create a road off of South Waterboro Road, and then the frontage of the lot would be off of that road. But if you create that lot with no frontage on South Waterboro Road, then you're eliminating
That
that
parcel from
possibility.
being developed at all.
Yes, and it's 23 acres of land.
That seemed like a great idea.
In the situation that I was referring to, the applicant actually owned the other lot as well, the road frontage lot.
Uh,
So he made a boundary change so that
Right.
all the road frontage was on the lot that he was retaining, and he gave himself a right of way across that lot onto the back lot.
But he had enough room, he had enough road frontage.
He did not have.
Oh, but he created road frontage.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
What
he
he
gave,
did is he created the back lot. So that portion, I think there was only, it was minimal, it wasn't nearly as much. He changed the boundaries so that that little corridor became part of the front lot.
oh.
And then he gave himself a right of way across that to the back lot. So I don't know if you could get creative and, you know, give that or sell that to the property owner on the front, making them go out, giving them all the
Oh, I
road
see.
frontage with, in exchange for a right of way across the lot. I mean, I don't know, because it talks about creating new back lots, so that's what you basically do.
Right.
To further complicate things, we looked into purchasing land from the abutter. I think it's the south. Again, I'm not looking at my plan. I'm sorry. Yeah. So where are we here? I'm all turned around. Rock Road. Yeah. So
Northwest
South
corner.
Waterboro Road's up here. So we
Yeah.
looked at purchasing land from this abutter here, just a sliver of land in order to create the proper amount of frontage on that side. And that land is wrapped up in probate court. So she has no idea when she was interested in selling the land, but it's officially not hers to sell at this time.
So what's the worst case scenario here? I mean, let's say the subdivision goes through, and you got that chunk of useless land there. So,
And where's this lot
would it be possible for
that they want?
the owner, you'd still be the owner, right?
This is.
To buy
I realize that.
a piece
So where's
of,
the
This
lot?
is.
a sliver of that land in
Yeah.
the future to make,
Yes.
to meet the requirements?
Right, and I mean, we're
This is all
approaching
his property.
other ways to get there. I
He
mean,
wants
yeah,
this piece.
Foglio Road is within 30 feet of the land.
Mhm.
If you get to the end of Foglio
Wants
Road,
to
you walk 30 or
keep this
40
from
feet,
himself.
it's
Yeah.
right there.
That's
Yeah.
that's back
This
here.
is
Foglio
inside.
Road
And
comes
that's a
down and
conversation
it
I would have to
almost
have with
accesses.
them, or
Make it.
there's other ways possibly to get there.
So I mean, it didn't,
That's
I mean, our job is to make sure you meet all the requirements in the
I
ordinance,
get it. Okay. I
right?
get it.
If that leaves you with a chunk of land you can't use,
For now.
then for now, then sort of like your job to figure out a way within the rules to use that land. Or it's gonna sit there, I guess, which isn't a good idea. But unless we can, I mean, I don't know, there's any way, we can't say, we can fool around with this. I mean, it's gotta follow the rules, right?
We could also potentially propose a legal right of way off of South Waterboro Road for a potential road in the future to access that lot, but not actually construct. We're not proposing a road, but a legal right of way. I think that you had reservations about that before.
To create road frontage, it would have to be a road.
Okay.
So you need to create road frontage is what you need to do.
And the
Can't be a
issue,
virtual road, huh?
To be named later.
I think,
It's a good try.
I think it.
Legally, it
could. Road, I think.
yeah, it could be a paper street legally. But the issue with building an actual road is that there are wetlands
There we go.
everywhere up there. And so that's why we didn't explore it in the first place. We would have to do a series of wetland crossings with the road in order to get out to the part where you can develop. And it just was a mess. So we've proposed the land as land retained, and I felt it met the definition of a backlot, but I think that can be interpreted in many different ways. So.
Maybe that's something you can opinion on, I don't know.
Sure. Might be something that Southern Maine Planning Services could weigh in on.
I'm sure they
Maybe.
And that would be good to know.
Yeah, it would be, because this might happen again. I don't think anybody wants to tie up land for no purpose, even if it is, I mean, if it's wetlands, that's one thing, but if it's possible to be used,
Mhm.
they have it open to be used.
The alternative to it not being approved as a back lot or a non-conforming lot, if there's something in the ordinance, a provision for that, would be that it becomes part of the open space. And we're already proposing 40 acres of open space. So that land then becomes completely unusable for anyone. It's usable. I mean,
But it's not
people in the
developed.
subdivision,
So back
it's
to
not
my original
developable.
question. This is all one lot of land, and she's proposing 10 lots in here for a cluster subdivision. But if that piece of land is not taken out before that, that's an 11th lot.
By this,
I don't know if that's true.
yeah, by the state's definition under subdivision law, that is just land retained by the owner. It's not considered an 11th lot. If the board felt the need to consider it an 11th lot, and it was in the provisions of the ordinance, then the applicant is allowed an 11th lot by
Yeah,
the
I'm
net
not saying he's
residential.
not, but
Right. I just thought I would mention that they are allowed 11 lots. So if the board viewed it that way, then it is an allowed.
And I'm so sorry, it's been a while.
It's okay.
We have a couple of subdivisions. Has this one been reviewed by Southern Maine yet? Have we referred it to Southern Maine?
I don't believe we have because we really had no
Well, we
substantial.
did originally, they did look at the application.
They did.
Yeah, didn't we
Yeah.
have that?
Yeah.
Was it Hannah that came
It was,
close?
Hannah.
Hannah's always done our work. I think that maybe that should be something that she should weigh in on.
Yeah.
Sure.
She's looked at it.
Because you're right, it's too bad.
Yeah, but we had some kind of a write-up from her.
Yeah, she reviewed the sketch plan packet that we submitted to the board, and she offered her feedback on some of the waivers that we were asking for at the time. And we're working closely with her to make, she'll be reviewing the preliminary application and the final, and offering her feedback throughout the process.
Yes, it was October 13th of 22. You got that, Paul?
Yep.
That's what
That's what I got.
Southern Maine, they gave us it was pretty, talk about the waivers and all that recommendations and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, 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 her recommendation was really good. I recommend that the applicant be prepared to address their above comments and the board offer feedback to mitigate any issues prior to the next submission. As presented, the application violates multiple standards of the town ordinance, all of which cannot reasonably be resolved by granting waivers. So she wasn't super excited about the first part, but
Mhm.
you've done quite a bit of work since then.
Yes.
Yeah. I like the wording she said, woo. Yeah, I think maybe we ought to get her involved again.
Yeah.
Sounds like a plan.
So on that note, while we're talking about it, she had asked me if we're gonna set a site walk, and I don't know when that date will be yet, but if we were to come to the next meeting after that and have that be the public hearing, would you want her comments by that date or by the date of the final vote?
Oh, I think before the public.
Yeah, public hearing.
Right.
Yeah, we usually don't do a public hearing until we have the plan done.
Everything's complete.
Everything's
Right.
ready, yeah.
I can call and see if I can get a copy, or does she already have a
Yeah, we were gonna submit copies
copy? Okay.
to her.
Is-
Yeah.
The next meeting definitely won't be the public hearing.
Oh, no.
Right. So we would have a site walk,
Then
then
we'll go through the rest of the plan.
Mhm.
And when the plan's all complete, we'll have a public hearing.
And there's a bit of a delay there, only in the sense that we got to make sure butters are properly notified.
Yeah.
And that's been an issue in the past, maybe due to the mail, maybe whatever, it doesn't make any difference. But I think the lawyer, one of those cases, said we should give more time
Yep.
from sending out the certified mail till we have the public hearing to make sure people have an opportunity.
And we would have plenty of time to. do
Yeah, and we don't
that.
want to, we don't want to rush that part of it because then we can get ourselves into a problem there.
And, we have this electronically, right?
I can send it.
You like to put it on the website, so.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah,
you
we need
want
that. We should have.
All of it, or just the plan, or what are you looking for on the
Oh, God.
website?
Well, I mean, what,
That's.
as far as electronics, it doesn't, I mean, once you get it, you get it, right? You put it on the website, and people are interested enough to read the whole thing, they can read the whole thing. I mean, I don't know how big the file would be, if that's an issue or not. I know in the past, we have gotten, I know that cell tower, I think, didn't the cell tower, I think we put the whole thing on the website.
Yes,
we
we
did.
did.
And that was a pretty good volume of material.
I think the plan is important in the narrative, and then maybe we can say that the.
There's a plan available at the office to look at.
Available at the office.
Yeah,
I-
that's
it's up
probably
to
the
you.
best thing.
I think so.
Yeah.
That's what we did to the cell tower. We had a plan at the office.
Nobody signed
Yeah,
it
you
up.
have enough
It was
copies
there.
for,
It was there.
yeah, with 9, right?
Yes.
And nobody signed it up,
So we get
whatever.
back to our checklist, make sure we get everything. for
I've also
preliminary.
sent we had to provide a copy of the DEP submission for the office. So there was already a plan set here for people to view, and I received a few calls from abutters. I've been sending the plans out to abutters as they ask for them and just explaining and answering their questions. Yeah, there were a couple.
Sorry.
Generally, it's been very positive feedback. People are just interested in
All right.
seeing
Question
what's
6.2 on the preliminary subdivision. All existing subdivision and approximate tract lines of acres with adjacent parcels, owners and names. That's on the map, on one of the maps. I know you get a list of butters in here.
Well, I'm sorry, what was that? Let me go through the checklist with you. Follow along.
The sheet index
The
doesn't.
names of the butters on one of the maps.
Yes, we have all of the abutters on, that's the cover page that you're seeing
On
now.
Exhibit 3.
The subdivision plan is 3 pages in, I believe. It's on sheet 4.
Page 3.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, one back. Sheet 3. They're both subdivision plans. The one is the overall subdivision plan. The next one is a smaller scale plan, so you can see just the part that we're developing.
Mhm.
Okay, we're good on that one. Location of all existing proposed streets, street names, easements, buildings, lines, etc.
Streets.
Just for a little bit of background, we have some drainage easements on a pipe outletting to the wetland.
Yep.
I'm sorry, the wet pond, and also a drainage easement around the wet pond that will be between the homeowners association and lot owners of 8 and 9, because it's on their property. And then we have utility easements on 3 transformers so that CMP can access the transformers as needed. That will be between CMP, the HOA, and the respective lot owners. And then there's also a drainage easement for a vegetated swale between the HOA and lot 1 so that that swale can be maintained.
So you got all the streets on there, Cecile?
There's
Got
that
one
way.
street.
Brookview Road.
You do know it's all underground power in a subdivision.
Yes, we're
Okay.
proposing all underground electrical. There's there will be a line that goes across Brock Road, a new riser pole set right at the entrance to the road, and then we'll drop underground from there and go to the transformers.
Okay, 6.2.3, boundaries of zoning and school districts, parks and public spaces.
So that is going to be in your application. It's a much larger scale plan that shows anything on that list that applied or was applicable is on the location map. Should be on your, in the table of contents. I believe there are 2 parcels of public land in the immediate vicinity of the project. One is owned by York County Soil and Water Conservation District, and that is this parcel here and this. Oh, I'm sorry, this is owned by the town of Lyman. This parcel all on this side is the York County Soil and Water Conservation District.
That's it. Yep. Okay, 6.2.4, outline of proposed subdivision with street system. You just had that on that
Yep,
map.
that was there.
Name of subdivision, deed, reference, and engineers and surveyors. Okay. Get the name on it.
The deed is in the right title and interest section of the application.
And you got a surveyor stamp on that, okay. Everybody agrees they meet 6'3"? Okay. 6'4", graphic scale, 1 inch equals 100 feet, date and North Point, that's on your map. Yeah, yep. Six five, boundaries of tract, we got a survey there, so that's covered.
The stamped boundary plan, just so you know, is the final page of the plan set.
6'6", ownership and location of abutting properties. Okay, it does show the abutting properties, and you do have a list of them in this book.
Yes.
Nice.
All
Nice.
of the
Nice.
abutters within
Yep.
500 feet are listed in the application booklet.
And if you got those off the tax map, I hope it was up to date.
Me too.
Does that capture the Waterboro abutters as well?
It does show some.
Yep.
Yep.
There's quite a few of
Because
them.
they all have to be notified too.
Yes.
There's, let's see, there's a couple of Waterboro ones in there, too. 3, 4.
Okay, name, location, and width of all streets. That's on there.
Yep.
On your maps. Okay, acceptable cross-section layout of proposed roads.
This should be on sheet 6,
C6.
I believe. Does it say plan and profile? Yeah.
Good memory.
Helps when you're the design engineer as well as the project manager.
Get your cross-section on it, Paul.
Yep.
Okay,
There's a cross-section detail on the detail sheets as well.
okay. Is everybody satisfied to the street? Okay. Profile of proposed streets, and that was there. Drainage plan existing and proposed and preliminary design of any bridges or culverts required. You do have drainage plans in here.
Yes, so the
Stormwater.
2 plans that are tucked into everyone's booklet are the pre and post watershed plans or drainage plans. And then we also have any culverts, piping, grading, everything of that nature is on the grading plan, which is
Yeah.
within the packet, the plan set, I mean.
Section 6.
Is everybody satisfied they meet that?
Yes.
Okay. 6'9", location of all existing utilities. You did have your utilities on the map.
Yes,
Okay.
the grading and utility sheet as well as the plan and profile show utilities.
Is everybody satisfied with 6'9", with the utilities?
Just to elaborate quickly, we are proposing individual wells and individual septic fields. Those are shown.
6'10", test pits for subsurface wastewater disposal systems on each proposed lot shall be excavated in the presence of the plumbing inspector. You haven't done that, or have you done that?
No, we did that. Yes, we
You
have
did that,
22
okay.
test pits that were excavated, and I
Okay.
believe Brenda stopped by that day that they were excavating. Yes.
Okay. 611, topography at 2-foot intervals.
That's on the grading and the
The grading.
plan and profile sheets.
Well, I didn't open mine up because it takes too much.
Yeah,
space.
yeah, they're huge.
Like
They
a-
honestly, they might be
Yeah.
at, I think we have a plan that has them at 2-foot intervals, but the larger scale plans, they're at 1-foot intervals, which is,
Yep.
it's more information,
Yeah,
more accurate, I should say.
good. Yeah, I see it. Rick. Yeah, good. Is everybody good with that? Okay. Lot lines and approximate dimensions, and that's on your map right there, and I can see it over here too. Proposed uses of property, you've told us the uses, and you do have it in your book. Proposed public areas to be dedicated, and you have a 40-acre common area.
Yes, it's dedicated open space
Yep.
owned and maintained by the HOA. I believe we discussed that the town had no need for
Right.
that land to be conveyed. We also, just to mention, we're not in the proximity of any school or anything like that, so we haven't proposed. There was some verbiage in the zoning ordinance about recreational areas, parks, play fields, things of that nature. We felt because of the rural area that didn't make sense to propose any of that, so.
Okay, 615, provisions of zoning ordinance applicable to the area, and you had that in your write-up. That's and 616, the soils report, and you have all the soils reports in here.
The soils are also shown, just if you want to see them on the
Exhibit 8.
plan, it's on the
Yep.
watershed plans that are tucked into the packet, the stormwater section.
Is everybody good with that?
Mhm.
Okay. 617, center line of proposed streets staked and marked. You're gonna have that done when we do a site walk?
Yeah, yeah. Prior to the site walk,
Right.
we can have that done.
Yep.
I didn't want to request a waiver
Well, no,
for
I know.
just that, yeah.
So this is all just still strictly woods right now, or is it field, or?
Yep, it's the whole parcel, pretty much the whole parcel is wooded. There's a gravel kind of driveway that comes in off of Brock Road. That's in a different location than where the proposed
Roads going?
road will be.
Okay.
Yeah, the topography worked out a lot better. There's a lot less impact and earthwork
Right.
that would be needed if we moved the road. And there's, I think, a little clearing at the end of that driveway that was there prior to Josh purchasing.
I'm just curious, do you have a lot of rocks up there?
There are a lot of rocks. Yes, plenty of
Parts of
boulders.
Lyman have rocks, parts have beach sand.
Yeah, lots of boulders.
I didn't know how it was up there. So 618, soil erosion sediment control plan containing endorsements to York County Soil and Water Conservation District and Maine Soil and Water Conservation Commission. And that's all in here?
Exhibit 7.
7, okay.
That's something that I wanted to, we got a question from
That's my thing.
York County.
Okay.
I'm just going to call them York County. Their name is very long. We got a question from them on whether or not the board would want them to do an engineering review of the plans. And if so, I can start that process now. They said that they've done them for you before. I wasn't sure with all of this being reviewed by DEP, including an engineering review, a thorough engineering review on our stormwater, if that would be required. So I wanted to ask.
Well, the DEP is reviewing your stormwater.
Yes, as well as erosion control,
Right.
because that's part of the basic standard we have to meet. The stormwater, there wouldn't be a review on the roadway design. But I don't think that York County Soil and Water Conservation District would do that either. It would be stormwater. essentially that they'd be focusing on.
What have we done in the past? Is there a requirement for that? I mean, to have York County? Brenda, do you have any comments on that request? Excuse me.
I was looking for something else. I'm sorry.
Why don't you repeat your comment, please, for Brenda?
Sure.
I'm so sorry.
Nope, that's okay. So we were asking if a full engineering review would need to be done by York County Soil and Water. It doesn't state that it's required. All the ordinance really states is that they sign off on the erosion control, which they can do that review as well prior to the preliminary plan approval. But would you require a full engineering review
I don't think that's
beyond that?
necessary.
Well,
We have enough eyes on it.
Yeah, it's given the DEP.
Let's go and check the ordinance.
We'll take a look if there's anything in there on that. That would be under subdivision reg.
Mhm.
I think so.
Anything in there? I didn't hear that today.
I could be wrong, but I think this is an item that only showed up on the checklist, but didn't
It's not, not.
have information in the ordinance.
It's, it's another-
Plus, there's nothing that directly addresses this. Sewage, surface, storm drainage, design, the standard, nutrition, there's something there.
Yeah.
Okay. No reference to your county there. I don't remember ever. Addressed.
in the surface drainage.
Well, if we're gonna have it reviewed by
Well,
Southern
from what I
Maine,
can see right here on 881,
yeah,
surface drainages,
Mhm.
if you actually read that, right there and go on to the next page,
Yeah.
it says we can designate it if we want it.
Mhm.
oh, I see.
Mhm.
Or at least that's kind of how I take that.
Yep.
Well, designate, but, yeah, it says, blah, blah, blah. It says-
Just library ordinance.
Deems adequate
Yeah.
or any other agency or firm.
Doesn't-
So, I mean, I think this is getting a lot of review anyway. So.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Did you catch that on 881?
Yes,
Mhm.
yeah. So what's the definition of the municipal engineer?
Well, I'm not sure.
Brenda?
There's a municipal engineer.
I think Southern Maine is very qualified.
Yeah, I think we're gonna get,
Okay.
I don't, that seems repetitive to have,
Yeah, I don't. This says we can designate if we want, but
yeah, then it's not a
this is gonna
requirement.
get a lot of review, so.
How about 882?
Same.
On an 882,
Be the next page.
next page.
Yeah.
That, I believe that refers to the stamping engineer.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and you've got, you should have that. right?
You've already covered
Very
that.
covered.
Yeah, we have an entire written erosion control plan as well as
I
an
think
illustrative.
881 more is more pertinent to that.
Well, if they have York County review it, I don't
Right.
see where we need to go.
Okay.
Southern Maine.
Southern Maine.
Right.
And the-
Joe, what do you think?
I'm good.
Cecile?
Mhm.
Paul?
I'm in agreement.
Bill?
I agree.
Okay,
All
I
right then.
think Southern Maine would make a recommendation if they felt it.
one way or the other, yes,
Mhm.
okay.
So just to clarify, we will have York County review the plans for erosion and sedimentation control, since that's
Correct,
pretty clear that that's needed.
yes,
But they don't need to do any further engineering review.
no,
Okay, great.
as of right now, no.
Okay.
That's how it comes out.
Yeah.
Nope, I changed my mind.
Okay.
So it looks like the preliminary plan's all complete.
Mhm.
I guess I'll make, Brenda,
Can I ask one minute?
go ahead.
It's been a while. I believe the subdivision law requires that they also submit the regular subdivision fee to compare.
You are
Am I
correct.
right? I think so.
Yes,
We did include that.
You did?
Yes.
did.
It's an 11 by 17, I think, in your application packet. We didn't put it at full scale. And it's been a long time, but we did actually go over some of that when we submitted the sketch plan packet. And we were able to fit, I think, thank you, yeah.
So
Where'd you find it?
Where's that? Before where?
Tab F,
Yeah, okay.
or right before it. And it's a Z fold, so it folds out larger.
Oh, standard, yeah,
Yep.
standard subdivision sketch plan.
There you go.
We also put the
There's
faded
A lot of
cluster lot.
wetland there.
There's a significant amount of wetlands
There
in
is.
what we're preserving as the open space area that would be significantly impacted. I think we had 4,650 linear feet of roadway.
Mm.
And wetland impacts for just the right of way would be 33,885 square feet. And we were only able to provide 16,600 roughly square feet of open space with this layout. And as you can see, the cluster subdivision is kind of scaled back. It's a grayscale underneath, so you can see kind of the difference. It's
Mhm.
significantly more impact.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion that the preliminary plan is complete.
The second question I
Go
have
ahead,
is
Brenda.
probably, I can't remember, it's probably on the final plan, but you generally include the septic plumes, so they're 100 feet away from the well plumes, so they're 100 feet away from the septic. Is that just usually on the final plan and not on the original plan?
So we have the septic fields shown. The ordinance requires the septic field and a reserve septic field location. So you'll see when you look more closely, you're going to see a rectangle that's split in half. We just put the septic field and then right next to it, a backup septic field. And then we show the 100-foot well exclusion zone, which is just a 100-foot setback off of all of those septic locations. And you'll see that the well symbol is just outside of the well exclusion zone. That is on the plan, yes. We did not do, I believe it was not required under the ordinance to do like a nitrate study on the septic fields of any kind. When you said plumes, that's what I thought of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. As long as it shows where the septic has to be in relation to everybody's well,
Yes,
that's what I look for.
that's all shown. Mhm.
So you need a motion?
Made a motion?
I made a motion that the preliminary plan is complete.
Second.
Any more discussion on the preliminary plan?
On here?
All in favor it's complete?
Aye.
All right. So now we should probably set a site walk to look at it. And we want to give pretty good notice for this one.
Yes, definitely.
We want to do it on
I'm
a,
not sure, are we required to notify abutters that we've received an application, or that we're having a public hearing? How does that work? Do you remember? I don't have much.
I do believe it's public.
I think it's just a public hearing.
Okay.
Yeah, but it has to be published though, the sidewalk, right?
publish
Yes.
it, publish it.
It has to be noticed as an extra meeting. It's considered an extra meeting. So we have to put it out here, we have to put it on the website.
On the
Right.
website.
Yeah, we don't have to notify abutters or anything.
Okay,
It doesn't have to go in the paper, does it?
no,
So,
So the public is welcome to the sidewalk.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and
Because it counts, I mean, since there's a quorum of the planning board there, then it's really a public
It's a meeting.
meeting.
Okay, I was only asking just so I can come prepared with, I'll print plans and everything so that people have a
it's a
good
flip of the
idea.
coin how many people will come.
Yeah.
So,
Because technically, they're not supposed to discuss it, because
It's really for the board. Yeah.
it really is, and the board's not even supposed to discuss it.
No.
But they're available, I mean, but they should be welcome to come.
Absolutely, and they can know that all that material is back here, is open for them, and on the, and online.
so you want to do this one at night or Sunday or Saturday? This might be a little longer than a regular one.
Yeah,
True.
you want to do this, try this on a Saturday? How's that fit with you
sounds
guys?
good. Schedule.
How much time do we need here?
Well, what are the other
Saturday.
possibilities?
Well, let's see, we have,
So 29th.
so,
I think there should be at least probably 3 weeks' notice for everybody because this is a big project.
This is just a sidewalk,
I know, but
I understand.
I don't know. What do you guys think we should give for notice? I mean, we got a standard notice of a week.
If it was for the 29th, that would give a week and a half.
that
Roughly-
would put it before the next meeting, if we want to do it. If we want to do it before the next meeting, then the day would be the 29th, which is a Saturday. If we want to, we do it after that, then it would kick it to the meeting on the 17th of May. In other words, it would be done before that. It was, the next meeting's May the 3rd. So,
If you would feel better, we could also put it into that, is it the reporter? That's what everybody looks at. They don't look at the newspapers. We could put the sidewalk notice in the reporter and have them there plenty of time for the 29th.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea.
I think that's a very good idea, Brenda.
It would,
So-
it would run in next week's paper, which comes out just 2 days before the sidewalk.
That's fine. I think that's better. It's too far ahead, they think.
Right. Well, this way you know there's good notification.
And we'll put it all around. I mean, you can put it, I don't care, transfer station,
Yeah,
wherever you feel comfortable.
I just want to make sure there's
I-
no complaints.
enough notification.
Let's do time of day?
You want to do
Take
it
your time.
So what is the date that we decided?
We do it.
Saturday, the 29th.
Saturday,
29th, 4/29?
Earlier the better for me.
Mhm.
Because if it's too late, I won't be able to make
8
it.
or 9? What's a good time?
What day?
29th.
The 29th, Saturday?
April?
Want to do it,
July.
want to do it at 8? Is that too early? Or 9?
No, it's not.
6:30 is good for me.
No, no.
You said 6:30.
For me, 8 o'clock would
With
be
you, Bob.
great.
Let's do it at 8 o'clock then.
8 a.m.
8 a.m.? Yeah, okay.
That'll be on Saturday, the 29th
Mhm.
of April.
I also notified your fire chief and the road commissioner, all the people of the sidewalk in case they'd like to join you. So we get the word
Yep.
out.
Good.
Yeah, we don't want to necessarily delay this or anything, but on the other hand, we want to make sure people get a chance. And there may be some interest from abutters, I don't know. That's some, I mean, that would be more of the public hearing point of view.
That's right.
Yep.
There are two butters that have called quite regularly, and I promised I'll let them know, and I will let them know.
Yeah, I mean, we want to make sure people do have a chance to come,
Observe.
observe, and make their comments.
Any other questions or comments?
Do you have any questions?
Well done on the plan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, it's quite. it is
I do
quite
just
the
have,
rig, huh?
just to establish the, just moving forward after the site walk, can we nail down, not dates, but just what will happen after that? So there will be a public hearing at the following meeting after the site walk.
No,
I think, it- and I know we talked about that, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
That's okay.
I think for the public hearing for a subdivision, it's much different than a public hearing for anything else that you're doing. I think it has to be published twice, and I think it has to go out. These are state of Maine laws.
Mhm.
and when we have the public hearing, it's for a completed application for subdivision.
So-
I'd like to see you have it before the complete, just in case something comes out of that that you weren't aware of, that you don't want to do that after the complete, is that what you mean? That
No, we don't vote to grant it, but we complete the application, then they come in, they look at the completed application. And if they have issues with it,
But isn't this a completed application?
this is a preliminary.
You're,
Yeah, but I think what you call it completed, doesn't that make it, I'm not sure.
if I could just offer,
Mhm.
I've done several of these in different communities, and typically there's a public hearing for the preliminary plan, before the preliminary plan is accepted. That way you can receive public comment and any feedback, and then we would have time to make changes if any resulted. We're meeting the ordinance, so you know how that goes, but the public has to have an opportunity to speak. And then I think at the public hearing, you could vote on the preliminary plan as approved. Then there would be a process where we go and make any changes as a result with conditions of approval on the preliminary plan approval to make changes and then offer our final plan. And there would be a second a second public hearing for the final plan acceptance. And that would be the two public hearings.
I didn't realize it was two public
I don't think we-
Oh, I thought you said it had to,
You don't have to have two.
hearings. No,
Okay.
two
The two.
published.
two
Oh,
public,
It has to be in the
two,
newspaper.
it has to be in it twice. Okay. One for preliminary, one for final.
I think we'll need one, and I don't have my subdivision book, but
No, I believe it's only one.
I think it's one public.
It just may be easier if any changes result from the public hearing to handle them before final.
And
So-
I agree with you, Kendra, so if you had your public hearing, and then after that in your meeting, if no changes came out of that, then you could vote to go into the final. That would be ideal, but, as long as
So
no issues come up.
maybe discussion of what we observed at the site walk on the meeting on the 3rd, with the understanding that we had the public hearing on the 17th. That'd be, I know, but the requirement to get notice out times 2, I think pushes it down a little bit.
The letters have to go out to the abutters. They have to receive them at least 10 days before, so they have to be sent out like 14 or 15 days
Yeah, and
before.
remember, we had a challenge on,
Mm,
and the lawyer, even though it does not say this in the ordinance, he recommended sending the notice out 20 days ahead of time.
Right.
He said 20 days.
Well, the post
Well,
office is
the mail has
slow
been
now.
very slow.
Right.
Yeah, and we're not trying to hold you up, I'm just, we had a
Yep.
challenge, people weren't notified, and it turned into just took a long time to get it, it's still not resolved, actually, I don't know where it is, but anyway, doesn't make any difference, but the lawyer recommended, even the ordinance said 10 days, he said, make it 20, basically, and although we have not changed the ordinance to reflect that, so. So it should give quite a bit of time there, enough time, not to hold you up, but to make sure people have the opportunity to come and make comments. And that's the way to do it, I think, because otherwise you end up with, it takes more time in the long run, really. to get down to it.
So if the public hearing were pushed to 2 weeks after the 17th,
was the
31st.
Third,
Then would you also vote that night to accept or deny the preliminary plan?
You don't.
No, it'd be the 7th of June.
No, we meet every first and third. First
Oh.
and third.
Right, so.
the day of
No, it
third.
depends on what comments. I mean, if you have a public hearing
Mhm.
and there's no comments, there's no issues, there's no reason that you couldn't proceed right away to, assuming all the requirements were met, to approve the application. But, for example, if at the public hearing, a butter submit material, depending on what they submit, something that needs to be reviewed. And, you know, so it's all different. Sometimes you get no comments, sometimes you get tons of comments. Sometimes the comments are applicable, sometimes the comments are from Australia. I mean,
Yeah, I
happened.
completely
So,
understand. I was just wondering if there's the potential to vote, to vote on the preliminary plan at that same meeting.
I would say there's potential,
Okay.
potential. That's what's going on. I don't know if it covers that in the subdivision
It
application.
says here, a public hearing shall be held following the acceptance of the preliminary plan.
Okay.
When the public hearing is ordered by the planning board, interested parties will be notified 10 days in advance, but we're recommending 20.
Right.
The hearing and public notice.
Are you in the subdivision or are you? in-
Yeah, subdivision submission of plans, Article
Okay, good.
5,
Yeah, yeah, I don't.
right? Yeah, land development and
Good,
subdivision
good, good.
standards. It's Article 5.
So I know this is
5.1.
considered preliminary because you can make changes resulting from the sidewalk or resulting from the public hearing. If no concerns come from either of that, can you vote that night that this is your final plan? I'm not sure. I mean, can you flip right into, I don't see
I
why
think we
they
have
would
done
need to
so.
resubmit.
I think we have done that in the past, if there hadn't been any
I don't think
issues.
So they would need to resubmit a final application. I mean,
No, this would,
okay,
could be,
okay.
could be.
Because, I mean, you're talking now, you're into June, what, June 4th?
Yeah, when I'm trying to,
So, and time is much more.
It's construction season.
Mhm.
That's what I was
understood.
thinking.
Yes.
Well into construction season for Josh. If that were, that would be fantastic if we could do that. And if that were the case, we could make the DEP approval a condition of approval for the final plan, which would have to be, typically we would state that had to be in hand prior to start of construction.
I think the only other thing that I can think of that you usually require in the final plan is that HOA agreement and things like that.
Yes, those are being drafted currently, so
Okay, that's part of.
in the works.
yeah, I mean, all of our subdivisions now require HOAs.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're aware of wait, don't we require sprinkling now?
Yep. Yes.
In the house.
That's proposed.
Mhm.
Wasn't always that way, but that's the way it is now.
Yeah,
So
we had the
come up
discussion with the fire
with a date
department.
For the site walk.
Well, I thought we said the sidewalk was, are we still okay for 8 o'clock
Sidewalk.
on Saturday, the 29th?
That's the public hearing schedule.
So let's come up with a date for the public hearing, I guess.
Mhm.
We still need to vote on the preliminary, do we even vote on that preliminary plan yet, right? Did we vote?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I'm gonna say, we wanna wait, what, we gotta wait, we got 20 days,
20
right?
days.
Well, if you did it, I'm trying to keep it. So the first meeting in May is.
It's the 3rd of May.
So if you set your public hearing,
We could set it on the, I guess we could, couldn't we set it on the,
I think you could set it on the 17th.
It'd be 14 days.
It's only 14 days.
But there's no reason that we don't need to.
Yeah, if you
send those out now, is there?
If you noticed on the 4th and 3 days later they received it, they'd have 10 days from receiving it before the public hearing on the 17th.
And is there any reason why we can't send those out now? Or does it have to be after the sidewalk? I mean,
Could be now, I would think.
Yeah, I don't
I
think
mean-
it's
Yeah,
matter.
we
we're-
can't
we're
send
kind
them
of-
out.
As long as
Scheduling
they
it.
get them, it's the most important part.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if we send those out in the next few days, they'll have it plenty of time for, what did we say, the
17th.
17th?
Yeah. It's very true.
That
An
sounds good.
incentive for them to go to the sidewalk also,
Ah,
maybe.
You could mention the sidewalk in
We
the,
mentioned the sidewalk
Yeah.
in the
Probably a good
notice.
idea.
That's a
Yeah.
great idea. Yeah.
So 5:17?
Yeah.
And time 5:30 or?
I think we said six
Six.
PM, right?
Six. Six.
Just to the rest of the movement.
Okay,
5:17.
So that'd be 17.
okay.
And the public hearing, I think we'll put it in the newspaper, but I think we should also put it in the report, even though it's not
Yep.
required.
Mhm.
I will make it my mission to provide all documents in the interim for the potential to approve it as a final plan.
It
Then.
doesn't hurt to bring some plans to sign that evening
Yeah,
with a signature block on it.
yeah, but as far as the HOA documents, and I know the sooner you can see those, the better, so we'll get those to you.
Awesome.
Have we ever seen an HOA document? I don't think we have. Has there been
Yes,
an
I
HOA?
I think we
Maybe
did see
so,
one.
that's, I guess it's not relevant,
Didn't
but,
see one.
You have a town attorney. I'm sure that the town's attorney would need to review them as well, so I think the sooner we get those to you.
I think even the attorney, I still go back to Southern Maine, they've seen as many as
Sure.
our attorney has. I mean, that's up to the board.
yeah, that HOA requirement is fairly, a fairly new one. I mean, not fairly.
I know we've seen a couple, but a lot of times we say upon being accepted by whoever we send it to.
Yeah,
They're rating them right now. I run a property management company. We deal with HOAs every day. So they're rating on this another one right now, this subdivision.
It's fairly straightforward, this one as well.
Boilerplate. I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the last question I had was, if we're discussing the site walk on 5.3, should I have Hannah prepare her comments to also discuss those on 5.3 so that you get them in advance of the public hearing?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
which the sidewalk is not 5.3, the sidewalk is 429.
Sorry, we talked about discussing the site walk
Oh,
on
discussing it,
5.3.
discussing it, okay. Okay, gotcha.
5.3,
Sorry.
sorry, not 20. Yep.
All right.
So we're good, you got your site walk.
Yeah,
And we'll schedule you to be back out in front of us on 5/3 at 6 o'clock.
excellent. That's good. Is that all? All right.
Thanks very much.
Thank you all so much.
That's enough.
I'm like reading.
Pretty well prepared.
Oh my gosh.
It's kind of pleasant.
Right to the people.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, no, it's really good.
I'm sorry. Is that mine here?
Minutes? Minutes? Yeah, just real quick. Yes, yeah.
Now, did everybody get to see the April 5th, 2023 planning board meeting minutes?
Yes.
Have a copy of the,
Of the minutes?
Mhm.
They're in, yeah, I got it here somewhere.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, somewhere.
I read them online.
It's in there.
In the packet?
Should be in there.
That's good.
I'll find it.
It was in the package. I've got the official copy here if you want to look at it, Joe.
Yeah, okay. We're good.
You good? Any questions or comments on them?
I think they were good, very good.
Well, I'll make a motion to accept them as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
very succinct. Pass this down to see it.
Excuse me.
This is- I guess you're gonna explain this.
I'll tell you what it is, that's about it.
You want to mention what it is for the?
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever.
Great
Um,
job.
All the members have been provided with a copy of the final rule for LD 2003, the bill that was passed last year that deals with the accessory dwelling units and affordable housing. Julie sent out a list of Zoom call opportunities for question and answer. They're being held every Tuesday from 10 to 11. The first one was yesterday. They'll continue until the end of May. And it was tuning into yesterday's Zoom, I found out that the rulemaking period for public comment ran from February 8th, I believe it was, to March 13th. I don't know. And what they produced was, after the comments were absorbed, a final rule that was published on the Secretary of State's website today. And it's also connected to the Department of Economic and Community Development's website. And this is what they've got. So, where do we go from here? My suggestion is that we individually read through these regs and maybe have a workshop with hopefully some help from Southern Maine and or our town attorney, Southern Maine, I think, primarily, as to what applies to us, what do we need to change, if anything, and with the understanding that the likelihood of this being changed, our ordinance being changed in advance of July 1 is pretty remote. That question came up at the very last question that was posed. A town similar to ours that will have the town meeting in June, and the likelihood of adjusting the ordinance to conform to this new law, again, not likely. The folks from DECD recommended that we, the planning boards, apply the state law as best as we can understand it until such time that our local ordinances comply. So the whole scheme of things, state constitution, state law, local ordinance.
Another option, though, is you can ask the Board of Selectmen to enact an emergency ordinance. They would have to re-up it every 90 days, but that could get you to the next change to put something into place that will comply.
Is that applicable to zoning ordinances too, Bill?
It says ordinances. And as far as what I read is ordinances,
Okay.
all town ordinances, zoning, whatever.
Or in emergency status?
Yes, they can do that in an emergency status. It's only for 90 days, but then they can re-up it
Re-up.
another 90 days.
Well, before we do anything, it would seem like we might want to ask the town attorney to look at this or to give us some advice or something. Or maybe Southern Maine, I
I'm
don't
not
know.
sure how up to date he is, because this May's so quickly, I think
Yeah.
Southern Maine would be right up to date.
Let's
on
let's
it.
have Southern Maine.
I think that they could really drill that down so that they can tell us, you need to do this, this, and that. So that in the meantime, I know how to apply what the state said to the committee that I'm doing every day, so I think it needs to be done sooner than later.
So I think once this goes into effect, we're gonna see a lot of things happen.
You have no idea that how many calls and how many emails I get that what they're hearing out there, and, you know, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. I don't know how to answer it. I don't know if they can or they can't.
I think what's important though is that obviously it's a high priority for a lot of people.
Yes, it is.
So we really can't ignore
Oh, no.
No.
That's why maybe June can, schedule something really quickly with Southern Maine, see how quickly we can get them on.
Yeah.
Would you like that like on off Wednesday as well? Is that what works best for everyone?
Mhm.
Like 5:30?
Sure.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
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 it.
And maybe we could get the ordinance committee to also sit in on that. And
Right.
the selectmen, anybody that wants to, but I think it needs to focus on what you're asking.
Right.
Yeah.
Bill, what you were talking about, is that equivalent to a moratorium?
No, no.
This would be an emergency ordinance.
An emergency
Yes.
ordinance?
So in other words,
So we need to have some language
if,
down on
if,
paper.
if, I don't know what you would say, but
Yeah,
we had to close all the roads because we had so many trees down from a hurricane.
Mhm.
Tell everybody to stay home and for the next 10 days, don't go anywhere. You gotta
Okay.
stay home till we clear it. It's an emergency ordinance for a certain amount of time.
okay.
The new charter allows for that, so.
So does the old one.
Does
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I didn't know that.
Yep, it does.
Yeah, it does.
But we'd have to have some wording
Right,
ready to go.
Yeah.
Can't just say implement this thing.
right.
No, we don't.
Oh, no, you'd have to have something put together. You'd have to have
And that's
an
where they
idea.
would come in handy to tell us what we need to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe in fact, I don't know, it is, I suppose it's possible that they might be working on some wording or something, I don't know.
I'm sure.
Because it's gonna affect more than just one
They
town,
would address this,
every
I'm
town.
sure.
Yeah.
Especially towns that don't have water and sewer. Public water and public sewer.
Bill, I agree with you. The way the section 313 emergency ordinances reads, the board may by majority vote of all of its members pass emergency ordinances to take effect at the time indicated therein, to meet public emergencies affecting life, health, property, or public peace. So with although there is the language earlier that accepts zoning ordinances from their immediate purview, it would be applicable through that, I think.
Well, I want to thank the state of Maine for helping us here.
Yeah. And does this applies not just to the issue of affordable housing?
Mhm.
Additional
Yeah.
density for affordable housing developments in certain areas. Is that just part of this LD 2003, or does all of this, to reduce density requirements, does it have to be affordable housing?
No.
It
That's
does
what I
not.
see. No.
I think if they were using the word affordable to mean, most young people today cannot afford a house. This, if it's on their parents' property, they can put a house, they can afford it easier. I
Right.
think that's what they're looking at,
Yes.
is to make more housing available that people can pay for.
But I'll bet that verbiage is not in here
I
about,
think section
is it-
3 covers more than the general, what we're looking for.
Right.
Yeah, it's got definitions of stuff. Anyway,
Yeah. Do we have to designate a growth area? I'm uncertain about that.
Boy, that'd be a touchy one to pull off.
Yeah,
Right.
And affordable, as I understand it, and this is just a cursory look at this, 30% of median income in that immediate area in terms of your mortgage. I think that's how
it's
they
got a,
define it.
right in here, it talks about for rental housing, a development in which the household's income does not exceed 80% of the median income, blah, blah, blah. And then it goes on to the 30,
Mhm.
more than 30%, blah, blah, blah.
And the median income is determined by town?
Well,
I guess-
median
well, I-
income is $70,000. That's what the state says average income
In the
is.
state?
The state says that's average median income.
Well,
It was just
I
on
think,
last
I think it
week.
depends upon the area too. I think it's not statewide. I think they use census and Department of Commerce, census part, census.
I'd love to make $70,000 a year.
I'll be good.
You know, gee,
Okay.
And I think we
I don't
really
make-
agree,
are you
section
kidding me?
4 is about accessory dwelling units. That's what
Mhm.
we're getting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Questions
on.
about-
It's gonna be an
And
issue.
it does say that you have to allow one with every residential dwelling.
I don't
that
need a page.
exists.
I just take one of these.
That's on page 9.
Right.
So I think that's what we need to implement,
Mhm.
as soon as possible. I really do.
And the question also might be there, what about shoreline?
I
Yeah,
have the
so-
shoreline and subdivisions were exempt, am I right?
That's what I.
That's
know
what
about
I
subdivisions,
understood.
but
The
shoreline, I
shoreline
thought,
requirements that was. did come
Exempt
up
an
in question.
affordable housing development, a dwelling unit or accessory dwelling unit from the shoreline zoning requirements.
Where you
Exempt
reading
it?
that? Which part?
What page is that on?
It's in section 1,
Page. I'm sorry.
Page number is at the top.
I don't see a page number on it.
That's the beginning.
up at the top.
Okay, upper right corner.
Upper right corner, 19-100.
Yeah,
That-
chapter.
Up to 5 page.
Oh, no, you're on the first page.
Oh, the pages to the
You're
right
on
of
chapter
that.
5, he's on chapter
Page
5.
one.
It's page 1, right at the bottom. Let's see, the rules do not,
Do not exempt.
do not exempt.
You're not exempt.
These rules do not.
Wherever
Exempt.
there's a residence, you have to permit an ADU. Now, does that still fall under the 600 square feet, and do I still say I need to see that your septic and
Thought I saw a
Something
different number.
there. Nope.
Non-conforming lots.
where
That
there's
came up in.
residence? What about lot coverage?
Well,
That coverage applies and setbacks and sidelines
Apply.
all apply.
under a definition of ADU in here, it says an accessory dwelling unit must be a minimum of 190 square feet, and municipalities may impose a maximum size.
And our maximum size is 600.
600.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that sounds-
Stick with that.
And I always make sure that the septic, sometimes they have to expand it, sometimes they put it in.
Right.
I think we need to stick with that, that's very important.
I'll try to tune into the subsequent Zooms.
When you know of them.
Masochism.
How long do they last you?
An hour. And they pretty much stick to that, 10
Is
to
it
11.
pre-emergent?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Some of the questions are very, very specific. And the two folks from the department will say, after the meeting, we'll address that specificity with you. But it's like, that kind of sounds like something that applies to us here too.
Yeah.
So,
Interesting.
the two folks involved, Hillary Gove is an attorney. Ben Averill was formerly the director of planning in Bath, former town manager at Wiscasset, so he does have a local point of view that he brings to the rulemaking. They were both hired just in November of last year to crank these out. So, and now there were other bills, there are bills pending that are pertinent to this. The one that would, LD 665, that would extend the effective date to July of 2025. I thought that would have some traction. I've got doubts now. I think we should operate under the understanding that this goes into effect this year, July 1. They held hearings on that one and these other two on the 11th of this month. Another 1154 would essentially say it's the municipality's discretion as to whether or not they would allow ADUs, period. I don't think that, another one sponsored by one of the members of the housing committee would clarify definitions within 2003. Folks who are saying that, folks testifying in support of that, we're saying that just shows that we need to postpone this a little bit. So I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. One that has, Paul checked this out earlier. There'll be hearings on this on the 25th
Yes.
of this month, and that's LD 1706. I recommend everyone take a real close look at that one, because as I read it, it would, the fears of state imposition of directives on the municipality really come to play in that one. You take a close look quickly at the 6th and 7th provisions there. It's essentially saying what could be built does not necessarily have to get permits in advance.
What?
And don't, I may be misreading it,
Yeah. Oh my
but
gosh.
take a look at that. 1706 is one to check out. And again, 25th of this month, hearing on that.
What's that statement? I'm from the government. I'm here to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the response is, I'm so glad to see you.
I think the ADUs is quite an interesting
Yeah.
one to use because not only does it provide more housing, but it provides more income. That's what people are looking at.
Yes, because there won't be family members that are going to be living there.
It came up one question, one municipality said that if you have an ADU, the owner must be a resident of the principal building.
Right.
Right.
And as far as I heard, in response to that, they said that's still okay.
Wow.
I
Okay.
think that's important.
One thing they recommended is that, and Kelly has been mentioning this, an ordinance with respect to short-term rentals to balance.
Mhm.
You
Yes.
know, you mentioned 600 square feet be the limit. So if you get a husband and a wife and 3 kids, how does that work? I'm just bringing it up as a question, you know, it's like,
And I don't
maybe
think
it's,
That's what it's meant to be.
It's what
Yeah,
it's
but-
meant to be, and it's
yeah, but I don't think
600
that's
square
what the
feet of
state
living
meant.
space. You take out the bathroom, you take out a hallway, and you take out all closets.
Closets,
So believe it or
cabinets.
not, you can get it up to 800 square feet. The problem is your septic is based on how many bedrooms you have.
Yeah,
So at what point, if you gotta put in a whole new septic, what are they, $9,000?
By more than that.
maybe that's what's gonna be done, but
Yeah,
I don't know, I've just got a feeling that that limit's gonna be a real question.
Right. Is the basement living area also? I mean, if you had a finished basement, that's part of the 600?
if it's an ADU, oh. I don't know.
You gotta have egress.
I think,
That's right.
I mean, to me, if it's a bedroom, I mean, you gotta use a straight face test a little bit. If they're sleeping in it and they've got, it's the egresses that matter.
Yeah.
Right,
Gotta be able to get
but I
out
mean
of
the
it.
square
Windows.
footage of the, what's considered
I think it
ADU.
does.
You think it includes the
I
basement?
think it's living space.
If it's living
It's
space,
600 square feet of-
If it's finished.
if it's finished,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, they consider basements part of expansions?
No, 30% you don't.
So, ooh, that's,
But
a
that's
so,
shoreline, right?
I
right,
don't know.
yeah.
Well, I guess the thing to do is to try to get as much information as possible and ask, I guess which you said we're gonna ask Southern Maine on this.
If we could get Southern Maine really quickly, make
Yeah,
some
get them to
decisions
come.
really quickly, get it before the selectmen really quickly, it could be done by July 1.
Well, the only way it could go into effect would be an emergency or something, is, I think as Bill mentioned, because, are we finished with the subject? Can we diverge to another
Well,
subject?
just a quick word on
Oh,
that.
I'm sorry.
Well, they could put it on a warrant if it's a non-monetary issue, 30 days in advance of town meeting. So mid-May.
Ooh.
Theoretically,
Right.
yeah, theoretically, they could.
Wow.
We just
But-
want to make sure
yeah.
that we run it by the attorney or
Right.
somebody else.
Yeah.
To
Right.
make sure that we're not creating a monster.
Okay, what do you got, Don?
I know. I don't want to, I'm talking to my Zoom audience here now. I'm not my YouTube audience, but I don't want to beat the dead horse any more than I've already beat it to death. But the third time was not the charm so far.
For the vote?
For the select board to take a vote on our requested change to contract zoning. So right now that they did not take a vote last night. I think maybe they will take a vote at the next meeting. I don't know that they will or they won't, but no way to force that. But it didn't get resolved. There were 4 select persons at the meeting. It went on for a long time. There's other issues going on, extremely long meeting. a lot of executive session stuff, but in any case, there was no resolution on whether they would put it on the town, as recommended, put it to be voted on the town floor. And I mean, there's really nothing else I can intelligent, I'm not saying there's anything I don't want to say about it, I'm just saying there's nothing that's helpful for me to say at this time. Joe made a very nice presentation, logical, not emotional. Mine was maybe a little more emotional, but hey, I don't know. I mean, it's like, we got the charter, we got this, we got that, we got the zoning ordinance, but if there's a roadblock, there's a roadblock. And right now, the roadblock is, in my opinion, the select board for putting this on to be voted on town floor. We've already missed the possibility of putting it on the written ballot because I think we passed the time limit on that.
Mhm.
So that's not going to happen. So the only choice would be if it went on to the town floor to be voted on. So, I mean, again, it may not go. And it's true, we don't have anything impending on us, but we do have that, as I pointed out again and again, there's a big hole that we're not in compliance with state law. Of course, we won't be, if this thing goes through, we won't be in compliance with state law either.
I'd like to hear from Southern Maine Planning as
So
soon as
anyway.
we can.
That's my 2 cents on it.
I think that would be good.
That's it.
All right, are we ready to set the next agenda?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Julie.
I just wanted, we had gotten a letter back in February, and I think it had been in your folders, that they have a lot going on with the LD 2003. They're shifting to more Zoom meetings than in-person meetings.
Oh,
okay.
And
Well, that'll work.
we may not get them as soon as we like, but I will reach out to them tomorrow and see what we can do for that, but
Can you do a Zoom meeting here?
maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, no, but I mean, if that was, for example, if that's the only way we get,
Get it more quickly.
yeah, that might be a useful thing to do. I mean, there's no reason that if she has to, I'm not sure where she's based out of, but,
Lindsay can.
we could, better than waiting for
Yeah.
a longer time. Good.
We're ready?
I was just going to ask one more question about the contract zoning.
Mhm.
If the planning board can, our ordinance says, and the charter allows for the planning board to make this change and bring it before the vote, why do we even need a vote from the select board?
Well, the
What
select
are we,
board,
what are they going to vote on?
The charter calls for the selectmen to set the agenda for the warrant articles.
That's right.
that's,
They have the up and down on it.
So
That's the
just,
outline.
just because it's on the agenda, so
It's- yeah.
that's
Mhm.
their
if they don't want to
tool.
bring it to town, if they don't want to approve the warrant to go on for town meeting, then they don't approve the warrant. So it doesn't, that's what happened. I mean, that's why the frustration obviously shows a little bit, because it's the third time here, trying to get this thing on the ballot.
And they could do the same to a citizen initiative that would be,
Not under the,
No.
not under the new
That goes-
charter, the new
no,
charter.
I mean,
but
under the old one,
No, I think that would go.
I don't know,
They
I
can't
think,
veto that.
they can't veto that.
Not
They
my
would have to
knowledge.
allow that on the town warrant.
but under the new, this changes with the new charter. The new charter seems to take them out of that, based on the way I read it. I haven't read it recently, but that goes into a little more complicated process. And the only problem with that is that it goes to a general election, as the wording states,
Mhm.
which is joining 2024.
2024, yeah.
And I did write I did ask that they might want to consider putting that on the ballot for, the select board, put it on the ballot for June to change that wording in the charter, but that didn't get any traction. And the other thing, I'll say, okay, my final thing, I would like to have the select board take a vote, so I will know who is in favor of it, who is not in favor of it, and that would just be for my own personal public record satisfaction as to actually who's voting for what. But
I got the sense yesterday that they will do so.
take a vote next time.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think the planning board should expect a vote on an official request. We sent it by letter. It wasn't verbal or anything, and I would expect the courtesy of a vote. Maybe not, but
Well, same procedures that we've used before with the 13 other
Oh, yeah. And we've had a lot of changes in the zoning ordinance. I mean, there's not like something that doesn't change. But anyway,
Mhm.
it's nice going on about it. It's sort of wasting everybody's time. I am, but whatever. Anyhow.
Are we good now?
That does sound-
Yeah, I'm overdone.
Fidgy.
I'm overdone.
So on 5/3/2023, at our next meeting,
Mhm.
we'll have the Brock Road subdivision come in. I don't know if anybody else be ready to come in for that
Mhm.
meeting. 5/10, we have a site walk at MX 207 at 5:30.
Mhm.
On 4/29, 2023, we have another site walk at Brock Road subdivision. On 5/17, we'll have a public hearing for Brock Road, and we'll schedule them to be on the meeting after for Brock Road subdivision.
Sounds like a full plate.
It will be.
It's gonna get busier.
Once the state implements all that rules, they won't need any more planning boards.
That wouldn't bother me, but I think it's
Play
gonna
on.
bother them.
Play on. Whatever.
So is there anything else tonight?
I think so.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
You know, one thing.
Aye.
No, I won't have that.
We'll keep it up like.
Are we shut down yet?
Not yet. Hold on, hold your thoughts.
Okay, hold on just a little bit, folks.
I'm usually up by 5.
At least it wasn't very late.
I've been at work at 2:30 in the morning.